Hi, I'm Mark Costello, Chief Exec of Meshed. Welcome to another episode of our podcast series. I am joined today by Derek again.
Hi, everyone.
Ryan from Digital Transformers.
Got it. You just got it, yeah.
Just got it. And Eriona from Majors Accountancy.
Yeah.
How well doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is a lovely setup. It's very bright for a underground room.
Yeah, you wouldn't even
Super
know that it's
comfy,
absolutely scorching outside.
I know, it's lovely and
know.
cool.
It's
Yeah, I'm
just,
kind of
when I
feeling
got to the
shorts.
top there and asked the guy if there was air conditioning, if he'd said no, I was just leaving.
Just couldn't leave me on my own. Actually, I think my ears are just slightly burnt from being outside earlier on.
You know, it's great to meet you guys, and we're here today to talk about digital transformation and transformation in accountancy, and then we'll see where that takes us. So, do you want to both give us your backstories one at a time, and then we'll give a bit of backstory about what Mesh does?
Up to you.
Oh, me first. As you mentioned, my name's Eriona. I'm Managing Director of Majors Accounts. It's a family-run accountancy practice based in Southeast London. I started there from quite a young age. I was 13 because that's when my dad started the business.
That was young.
That was young, yeah. And I was employee number one, basically. You know, when you're building a business, you can't necessarily afford
So child labour is what.
Child
yeah,
labour
okay.
is where I'm alluding to, yeah. But yeah, I started every Saturday, Sunday, holidays, anything that we had, I was there. But at the time, obviously, I hated it. I'd say to my dad, I've got homework to do, because for him, education was super important. And I was like, I've got homework to do. You know, Dad, that's important. He was like, who told you not to do your homework? You got to do this and work. I was like, cool. But from that age, I've been used to doing multiple things at the same time. So obviously I grew up with the business, and when it came to studying, I thought obviously I'd go into accountancy, and I went straight into ACCA, and then kind of worked and got through a few different educations and degrees and stuff, and I took over the business 2019-ish. I'd started a few years before, changing our systems. So when I went to the business to work full time at this point, and I needed to find out which jobs we had that month. You know, I went to my dad. I was like, where's the list of all the jobs? He was like, what do you need a list for? I've got it all here. We had a filing cabinet at that point with 500 clients, and he knew who the directors, who the shareholders were, which payroll needed to be done, which VAT needed to be done, accounts. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't go every time I need something, go and ask him. It just didn't work. And if we wanted to grow, obviously he'd grown pretty well up to that point, but you can't sustain that kind of business, right? So I took a piece of paper and I went through all the cabinets, and I was like writing things down, and then went to my desk, transferred it to our first ever Excel list, and then kind of built on that. And whilst I was doing that, everyone, the employees we had in the business were like, oh, bless her. She's getting herself busy. She's like doing something. She thinks she's doing something important. But I just didn't want to work like that, because although the business had become successful, my parents were working 7 days a week. You know, we were with them at the office 7 days a week. We went on holiday. We had to be quiet when there was a phone call, you know, so there was never a time where we could switch off. And I just thought, what's the point in you know, you're not enjoying your life. And I think what really helped was COVID for us. Both my parents got really ill. And to the point where, you know, they'd work 14 days, 7 days a week. They were never ill. There was never an excuse to not go to the office. And having to help my mum brush her hair because she physically couldn't was a super eye-opening for us. I said to my dad, at this point, imagine if the worst were to happen, you haven't lived. I don't want to get to this age, to like 60, and be in the same position. So I just thought, if we ever get out of this at that point, when we're in the thick of it, things are going to change. So I went through and did full digital transformation of all of our systems. We split our clients into different segments and industries to figure out what were we doing. That's where we found out we had one industry, one segment of our clients that were giving us a £10,000 loss a month. So that was the first thing that we thought, okay, let's get rid of that industry completely. It's not worth it. Unfortunately, after tripling their prices, only 2 of them left. So then we were stuck with, okay, now we've got to do the work, but at least we were doing the work with profit finally. Yeah. But we went through and started to look at everything in the business, automate whatever we could, training all clients wherever possible, and looking at who do we want to work with and who do we not want to work with. During COVID, actually, a client that had been with us for years, 7 businesses, called and started swearing at an employee, and I just thought, this is not.
Yeah, you don't need
I don't
people
want
like
this
that, do you?
kind of
people
you
like
know.
that.
So got rid of them in one go, and they're like, "But I've got 7 businesses. You need me." I was like, you know, we need you. May not need you. It is what it is. That's just not what we're here for. We don't want to work with people like that, and it's not a nice environment for our team to work in either. So that kind of helped to reduce our client base. We were at 3,500 when I started, went down to around 750. But the people we work with now, when I see the phone ringing, I don't think, oh no.
Yeah, not him again.
I don't want to. Now it's just every conversation is so much more interesting. We've got time to dedicate to those people who need it, who will pay for it, and who appreciate it, and then say thank you at the end. That's actually what makes my day. Seeing kind of a journey with so many clients that we've helped them over the years and helped them achieve what they wanted. That is so much more interesting than a conveyor belt. Here's your tax return. Here's your accounts. Job done. See you next year. We're building relationships, and it's a completely different lifestyle now. My dad is working 3-4 hours a day because he enjoys it, and I've left a few clients that he always used to talk to. But even our client meetings, we used to say previously our office was like a GP kind of office. People would just turn up. We're in meetings from 8 till 8 non-stop. And I had an iPad of those who signed in 2019 from April to June. 90 days, there were 1,200 meetings.
Gee whiz.
Whereas now we've got maybe 5 a week. If it's a busy week, everything else is being handled by the team or online meetings. So his life has completely changed. And he says to me now, not throughout the process, I'll be honest. Throughout the process, it was the hardest thing. But he's just like, I love this. I love this business, finally. You know, after all these years, now we're enjoying it. And it's a completely different lifestyle change. And as a result of that, I just thought I'd love to help other accountants do the same thing, because they won't realise it until they've gone through to the other side of it. Because honestly, I just thought there's no point in this business. The stress that we had before compared to now, I absolutely love it. I love going to the office every single day if I can, to just speak to people and see what we can do to help make their lives a lot better, not how much is your tax. It's bigger thinking. So that's when I started Vault, and I'm helping other accountants essentially do what I did, but without the guesswork.
Maybe a wee bit less of the pain as well.
Much less pain. I tell you, when I went to my first accounting conference, I turned up, I was invited. I thought, what the hell would you do at an accounting conference? Do people just stand around talking about how much tax you saved a client or something like that? And that's where I was introduced to all this tech, and I just thought, I didn't know this existed. Where have we been living? No, that was QuickBooks Connect.
QuickBooks Connect.
Yeah, first time, and I was too scared to even ask the vendors what they did. Like going from that, because I just thought I'm going to turn up and look like an absolute idiot. I don't understand. What does your software do? And and just seeing other accountants sharing best practice for other accountants. We hadn't seen that before, because in our industry, it's changing now. But then it was very much, don't share secrets with your competitors. They'll take your clients. Whereas now everyone's being more collaborative, and it was just a completely different world. And that's what helped me kind of go through that process. But yeah, that was a lot of pain throughout that, figuring out what we needed and what we didn't. So that's where I think I'm able to help to say, okay, you don't need to worry. I've looked through your business. This is what you need. It's not always everything. Could be just the software here or there. But at least they have that, this is what you need. Go ahead with it, or I'll do it for them. And hopefully change. My ultimate goal is to change a practice owner's life.
Like it.
I like that.
What an introduction. And I've got so many questions, but Ryan.
Yeah, well, I'm not topping that, am I? So my backstory. Unfortunately, I'm not like a superhero. It's not going to be, bitten by a technology spider or something. I have a degree in theoretical physics, but decided to go into finance. And,
as you do.
As you do, just rock up to university one day and start doing theoretical physics. And went into accountancy mostly because one of the routes out of that is either to kind of to go do more study, which I decided I got to the end of, to train people to go and teach, which at that point I really didn't want to do, or to go into finance. And you can kind of go down the actuary route or the accountant route, and I felt that accountancy was more about helping people, even if it's small business owners, and say that my gift is finance or numbers, I'd be able to help them through that. And so I did that and launched that, and was at a small firm and was grown, trained there. And I always liked the fact that I wasn't particularly great early on at accountancy. I was a lucky person that I'd pretty much gone through study, just doing what I did and got good grades, and just enjoyed doing it. And then I found accountancy quite challenging. Ironically, then had to do 4 years of study after trying to come out doing study, and ended up training a team. So yeah, it was a weird choice. But they, one thing that my boss always used to say to me when I was got things wrong is it's not rocket science. So I can do rocket science. I've been doing rocket science. I can't blooming make this balance sheet balance. That's the bit I struggle with. But towards the end of that small firm, whenever there was a kind of tech change or a tech question, I was a person that kind of got rolled in to help. All around kind of that introductory area where zero QuickBooks Online started to come over, when people were questioning what that was, and the firm didn't really have a strategy, so I was just kind of filling the gaps. But I left there, went to a top 20 firm, now MHA, and effectively was running their cloud accounting division. I wasn't brought in to do that, but I had some spare time, put my hand up, took that on, supporting the partner in doing that, really loved it. And got to the point where I was advising businesses on their finance software, and they were coming back going, look, we love what you've done on this. Can you help in other areas? We didn't really have a service for that. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I can. Give it a go. So was helping, but realised pretty early on that actually without structure, there was so much, variety, so much scope, so many variables out there that we needed to create a service line around it. I put that forward, but they were at a stage where they were very focused on international, so I didn't really want to go down the route of helping SMEs, which is my core focus. Love working with small businesses. And so it wasn't the right time for them. So I transitioned into a different firm where they really wanted to push forward in the space, and I helped them kind of launch, grow a digital transformation department, build that over time, and got to a stage where I want to help lots of accountancy firms. And as Eriona said, traditionally, accountants aren't great at working with other accountants. We are not great at selling or winning work. We like to kind of just hold on to what we've got. It always feels so much energy to win that. And so bringing in another accountancy firm brings that fear of you might take my clients. And so although I knew I could help, and they kind of knew I could help, they just said, whilst you're in an accountancy firm, we don't really want to collaborate with you. So we could have launched a different brand. They want to do something different, just strategy differences at that time. So I took the punt to launch my own business at that perfect time of my wife on maternity leave, and my son being born 11 weeks early. So we'd gone through that challenge of being neonatal. Throw my ring in the hat at launching a business and the additional stress of that. If only I'd moved house at the same time, I would have kind of collected the set. But it's been going well. So it's been going for about 6-7 months, and been growing, had lots of good support, now building a team, employing people. And I had external references to us being the Avengers, bringing that kind of team together. And I keep saying, I've called us digital transformers. Maybe I've picked the wrong television brand to get behind here.
Superb. So a couple of questions floating about that kind of pertinent to both, different for both. When your dad decided I'm going to transform this business top to bottom, how many staff couldn't get on board with it and left, if any? Or how did you deal with that challenge? Because people hate change, right?
Wow, did I learn that throughout this process. It was, I think, the hardest thing that I had to go through was managing people and the fact that they hated change. So we had 25 staff at that when I started. By the end of it, we had 4 left who remained with us out of that team. A lot of them were like, she's lost her mind. She doesn't know what she's doing. Why? None of the clients are going to like this. So if the clients don't like it, they'll leave. There's going to be no business left. So see you later before that happens, kind of thing. It was, I think initially the first 6 months, I thought, let me try and get them on board with it. I'll try and speak to them nicely and talk to them about, like, this is how great it's going to be, guys. 6 months went by and nothing happened. It was always, oh, no, that sounds nice, but this month we've got deadlines, so can we look at it next month? And I just, after being kind of exposed to this world of technology and what we could do with our service, every minute that went by for me felt like we were falling so far behind. So to wait 6 months, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I have a vision. If you're going to be on board with this vision, great. If not, then step off, because it's not going to be for you. So I made it very clear, we are going for it. And that's when people then started to drop off, because they could see I'm not stopping. I was like, whether this works out or not, I've got an idea and I'm going to take it at least until then, and then we'll see what happens.
Was there ever any points where like you doubted it yourself? Or
Every 5 minutes. Honestly,
I'm glad you said that.
Every 5 minutes, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I was like, I can't, and the way that my dad raised me, and I'd say because he was probably number one against it, which is understandable. He built up a business that was successful, and I'm coming out and saying, hey, Dad, you know what you built? I'm going to destroy it all and start from scratch. Doesn't sound so great. But I was like, well, you raised me to be strong-headed, so I'm going to go for it, whilst internally being like, what the hell am I doing? I really hope this is going to be okay. I don't know if I'm, actually going to destroy this business. But on paper, it made sense. Yeah. So I was like, surely this will work.
Did you have any, sorry, Mark.
No, on you go.
Did you have any support or anyone that you were kind of leaning on at that point, mentors or, other people in the industry?
No, not really, because then, one, I didn't know very many people in the industry. Two, again, not many people were collaborating like they are now. Now it's great. You could reach out to anybody, and I think anyone would help out, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know who to reach out to. Will they even help? It was still kind of new, I guess. Well, there were other firms that had already started before, but there were very few. So I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I think the only person that kept me sane, my mum, who keeps me sane through everything in my life generally, but she was the one that was like, you've got this, that encouraging, you've thought it through, it's going to work. I was like, yeah, I got this, Mum. And then half an hour later, I'll be back to her. But I didn't really have anyone else. It was very much, I've got to make this work, because if I don't, everyone's going to be like, told you so, and you destroyed the business in the process. But throughout all of it, I think that after the 6 months was super important. If I'd have carried on like that, we would have not got anywhere. And I think a lot of accountants are scared of that process. I don't want to lose people. If those people are not sharing your vision, your goal, they're not going to allow you to get there, because you need the whole team to be on board, rowing in the same direction. If one are going in one way and one another way, you're just going to be stuck where you are. You're not going anywhere.
100%.
Agreed. Controversial question then. If you'd been 10 years older and your name was Rob and not Eriona, do you think it'd have made any difference?
I think with my team, not so much. Because every team member that came they came after me, because they'd seen me there from the beginning. With clients, yes. Yeah. The majority of our clients are middle-aged men. So even being taken seriously as an accountant, we had a process, right, for me to be taken seriously. It started off, I'm in a meeting with my dad. I don't say anything, just my presence. So they get used to actually seeing me in a meeting, not just like one of the staff doing some work. Then the second meeting, my dad would ask me a question and I'd answer. And they'd look at me like, who are you, kind of thing, even though I was there before. But just to get me used to it. And then the third meeting, my dad would leave the room and leave me with them. And at that point, they'd started to become comfortable with me. If we had a meeting straight away, there was like, what? Where's your dad? You don't understand these things. So it was difficult for that. But I think where I started to reduce the client base as well, people started to take me a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I said to the team and to clients, I was like, license above the door is in my name now. So you can speak to whoever you want, but I make the decision. And when they wanted to do something that I'd said no, everyone would say, we tried, but Eriona said no. So that's where they started to take me seriously, because up until that point, I was just Major's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And Ryan, you said that you you started this up? How old was your baby when you started it up?
7 months. So he was, older than I guess a newborn at that stage, but because he was born so premature, he still had challenges.
Yeah.
But I don't think when it's in that early stage, it doesn't really matter. You're still sleep deprived,
Oh,
you're still stretched.
I've
right?
got 2-year-olds, and
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love coming away for business because I know I get 8 hours.
Yeah.
We don't even need the 2 years to be here. We just both trying to get away for a break.
I work from home, and the 6 weeks holiday is a challenge, right? Because
Yeah.
they're around the whole time. But when I handed in my notice at my firm, one of the things that someone I massively respected there said, timing-wise, do you think this is the right time? Because obviously he's been a partner at a firm, he's run that, he knows the stresses and strains on it. You're going to be really, really stretched. And I have been. And to be honest, I've already gone through a period of burnout. I never had that before, but 4 months in, what I was doing from a work perspective and a life perspective, it was just burning the candle at both ends, tiring me out. And when I got ill, it hit me hard. And I had an illness for a month, which I've never had before. And so I've learned a lot in a very small space of time.
So I think the number one, so I've got twins that are 2 and a 7-year-old. And I done the same as you in my last venture. I started that when Erin was 4 months old or something. It is challenging being a parent and running a business. There's no getting away from that. I think the one thing it does teach you, though, is how to be really efficient with your time.
Yeah.
But that burnout period that you're nodding, so you've obviously went through the same thing, right?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids. I've got a nearly 12 and a 2.5-year-old.
Right.
And it's literally every second you get, it's exactly that. You're like, I've only got this window.
Yeah.
The things have got to get done. So the efficiency is crazy compared to before I had kids.
And one thing I'd like to comment on, there was a period on social media where pretty much every week someone would be posting, this is my timeline. It's like, get up at 5 a.m, go to the gym, walk the dog, answer all my emails, do like intense work. And I'm like, yep, I've literally got up and tried to recover from the previous day, dragged myself to a point, and then I'm like now trying to churn through things. It's a different experience. But
all of that nonsense on LinkedIn just drives me nuts, right? It's people that write that on LinkedIn don't do it. I just don't believe they do it. But why do you feel the need to write that on LinkedIn if that's what you do every day?
Whether they're doing it or not, they don't have a family. That's how I put it. You can't have that same structure. Like, as we were coming out today, well, I'm not sure if this is something you can put out there, but I'm going to say it anyway. We were talking earlier about the fact that my son basically just had explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's messed up, like all my plan this morning, so I've just got to sort that out. And so, I'd had a tight window to get something done, and I was like, this is going to have to be sorted the weekend. There's no alternative.
There's days when I work from home that if I also squeeze in showering that day, I'm winning at life, right?
I wonder what that smell was.
Pretty much most days that we have a conversation, either one of the twos have had some
Sort of
episode
kids.
in where they've just... You were going out the other day, well, it was a couple of weeks ago now, and went to the toilet before he left, and by the time he came out, it was chaos.
So Derek and I were going to see an accountant, and my wife was away for work, so I've got a 5-year-old to get to school and twins to get to nursery. And everything was going amazingly. I had the audacity to go to the loo just before I left the house. And they came out and they'd got hold of a banana and smeared it everywhere. And I was like, well, I'm just going to have to leave that.
Do you not have a dog?
No, I don't.
I do.
Because,
That's
the
great,
advantage of
Bonnie.
having a dog is that like all food is just gone instantly. And so when we've been on holiday before, and I'm like, we're feeding the kids, I'm like, why is there so much mess Oh yeah, no dog. That's why there's food. I mean, there's obviously a lot of challenges having a dog as well, but like for some reason, my dog likes trying to eat dirty nappies, which it's a disgusting habit he's got. So you have to be very regimented of putting the dirty nappy away instantly. But there are benefits as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. So moving on to that whole digital transformation piece, and this is my view coming from outside of accountancy. So I run Meshed. We are an AI first commercial insurance broker, but technology advancements in our industry are glacial at best. We're trying to do something differently. I've previously owned a business that done something differently and was successful, quite successful. But the thing that really struck me when I came into the accountancy world, because we think we've got a great product that works well with accountants and what they do for their customers, and I'm not going to go on about that today. But the thing that struck me was Derek said, we've got to go to the digital accountancy show. And like the big trade show in the insurance world is BIBA. There's hardly any tech vendors there, none. So what do you think was the moment when accountants, because historically accountants and insurance brokers were the two people that you did not want to sit next to at a dinner party. What changed in accountancy to create this new environment where tech seems to be at the forefront of every conversation?
In my opinion, I think in our industry, what helped was government legislation. It pushed people into having to look at what is tech first of all. I mean, that's the reason that I first looked at any tech. It was because this thing called MTD is coming. We need to do something differently. Let's see what we need to do to be compliant. That was the only reason. And we was, I'd say, probably a little bit more forward thinking than a lot in our kind of sector where we were. But everyone was in the same kind of boat. So as they started to look at what they needed to do, that's where all this tech suddenly came out of nowhere. That's how I felt anyway at the time.
Yeah, I think there's, I agree to some extent. I think there's a combination of different things. So firstly, I think you go back to glacial. The accounting industry for decades has been glacial. It's only been a very small window that everything is starting to get ripped up and redone. And the presence of Xero and QuickBooks Online and what they did with cloud in a build-up and a time frame to get enough traction in the UK just as that legislation was hitting, I think was the combination of those two made the big difference. Because you had those early adopters that had kind of brought in cloud, and then the legislation came in, and those early adopters were like, don't have to do anything. Yeah. All my clients are all in the cloud. And the other accounting firms are like, oh, I envy those people now. Like, I'm going through this pain, and they're already in that space. And you had those shows. You had XeroCon, which was like now just a giant party for accountants. QuickBooks Connect doing a similar thing. There was dragging those out of their comfort seat of being in an office and seeing a whole new world and seeing what other people could do that were talking on stage about how they'd changed, like Eriona, they'd changed their practice. And they're going, oh, I want a piece of that. I want to feel a little bit of that. And that then triggered the launch of Digital Accounting Show, because those were all led by vendors, but were very, biased, let's be honest. Like, they're just pitching Xero. They're just pitching QuickBooks. Digital Accounting Show was all like, now you've got accountants coming in and going, well, should I be doing that? Because we're very skeptical. And you've got a software vendor, a salesman, telling me I should do it. I can see they've got someone on stage also saying that it worked for them, but have they been paid? Because we're skeptical. Or is it just that one person? I kind of need someone to talk to that's impartial in the space. And so the benefit of like the Digital Accounting Show, Accountex, is you can go there, you can talk to other accountants, but you've got such a broad spectrum. Those that are more traditional, those that are really dynamic, those that are niche, those that are generic, those that are big portfolios, those are micro. And you can get a feel and find someone that works with you. And as you say, we've kind of changed the profession to now be very open. Mm-hmm. So if someone comes up to us and goes, what have you done? It's like, glad you asked. I'd love to tell you about what I've done because I've put so much blooming energy into this that I feel that it's cathartic to kind of tell you about what I've gone through, and you can tell me about where you are on the journey, and I can say, oh yeah, I was there, understand that, or tell me about the challenges you've been, because we can all learn from each other in this. And so I think those two forces they triggered something probably about 4 or 5 years ago, but I feel we're on the cusp of something much bigger coming up, and that's even more exciting in my opinion.
You need to tell us what it is then.
Well, yeah. I didn't know if we were leading into something like that, so I put a little teaser out there. So yeah, okay, if you ask. So we had the whole cloud, we had the legislation. We've got more legislation coming. We have had the recent scrapping of MTD for corporation tax, but realistically that does not matter because all the other MTD legislations put all businesses on digital systems anyway. Doesn't it? Yeah. So it's not really going to have much of an impact. HMRC have got a whole digital strategy to realign the way they work on their systems. We'll see if it happens. I'm quite sceptical on that. But you've got e-invoicing that we're focusing on. Once again, a big digital movement from a legislation point of view. But much more important than that, and something that people are fed up of hearing about, is what AI is doing and the impact of AI. Now, as I run a podcast, and you've got myself, you've got my colleague John, and you've got my colleague Indy as well. John's very bullish about AI, whereas I'm generally the one that goes, well, tell me what it's done. Like, show me what it's done that's actually positive. You've got a lot of hype, but actually, where's it moved the needle? Show me the metrics behind this. But even with that, with me being skeptical, I can see where the path is. I can see where we're going. It's more of a timing perspective of when it will hit. And if you combine cloud and you combine AI, compliance, as we know it, so taking data, manipulating that data into a rigid set of documents that we send out, the backbone of accounting, with period end, which is we hit a date, we do a bit of work, we put it down, we wait till next date, we pick it up, do a bit of work, put it down. Both of those go.
I agree.
And that isn't just a transition, that's a complete
It's a
disruption.
paradigm shift, right?
Yeah, paradigm shift, exactly. And that is going to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
I think we're pretty close to it already.
There are some big things that we're on the cusp of,
Yeah.
but it's hard to tell because until you see it, until you feel it, because like when ChatGPT hit, no one expected ChatGPT. It just hit and you're like, whoa. So when the iPhone hit, you're like, no one expected an iPhone, but now it's there, everyone wants it. When we have that one piece, that one thing, that one bit of software, that one way of working, that one bit of AI that makes us rethink how we approach something, that'll be the trigger of the paradigm shift. And not everyone will do it straight away. You're always going to have that bell curve. You're going to have the early adopters, you're going to have the laggards. But everything that I'm about at this moment is not you need AI. Like, realistically, most businesses don't need AI at the moment. They've got so much more to do. It's about get yourself ready, make yourself in the prime position. So when that comes in, you can adopt it and you can be at the front.
Yeah.
I think the important, and I think you're 100% right. So we are building AI, but actually what we are doing is building from the ground up all of the process flows and thinking about the process flows. Because what happens in businesses is that, like, if somebody 20 years ago had left your dad's business and started an accountant down the road, they'd have started using the same processes mindlessly that you were using in that business. Now we are saying, how can we measure it? How can we cut it? How can we make it more efficient? And if you have got that mindset in your business already, then AI is going to be easy to implement. I think the companies that are going to struggle are the big incumbents. Like in the insurance market, which I know, if you've got 100 branches in the UK and 10,000 staff, and you've got the same 40 different pieces of software in your organisation that people, some of them use, some of them don't, the one main operating system and then loads of other bits, how the hell do you throw AI at that?
There's pros and cons to this at the moment because we've also got another huge shift going through the accounting market, which is PE investment. Yeah. And if you go back to the traditional accounting model, so partnership, for example, you've got, you make money, you get taxed on that money. Doesn't matter if you take it, doesn't matter if you leave it in, you're getting taxed on that money. Does not incentivize leaving the money in the business. Whole PE model, switching it all to kind of limited companies and the way the shares work, etc., is incentivizing investment. So you've got this thing where some of the big companies that are now, or big firms that are being absorbed into this kind of like monstrosity of different PE investment, are throwing money at changing systems and trying to change the way they work. The challenge they've got is because of their metrics, they don't want to cut clients because that looks horrible. Yeah. And unfortunately, you may need to cut clients, you may need to cut staff that don't work with you if you need to adapt. So they're going to be fighting this thing of going, we've got all this money to invest, but we can't dramatically shift to meet that. So I'm not sure where that's going to go. I'm very skeptical, nowhere near as skeptical as Dave Selick on PE money.
I am as skeptical as Dave is.
Are you? Yeah. Well, Dave's very passionate, which I assume you are as well.
Not quite as passionate as Dave is about it. So my basic tenet on this is that when you buy another firm and take on their customers, nobody in life likes being told what to do. If somebody comes along and says, oh, I've just bought you as a customer, a lot of people go, have you? Really? And I think what happens in the PE world and insurance, and some of the guys have been great at it, a lot of them not. I've seen private equity transactions in the insurance market. There was a broker in Edinburgh bought about 8 years ago that had about £25 million in premium. Basically, within about a year of them buying it, there was nothing left.
Yeah.
Because the customers voted with their feet. And that's been repeated time and time and time again. And then ultimately, what happens is PE comes in. Yes, they want to do stuff on systems, some better than others, but I think a lot of them come in and just go, we've started the conveyor belt going. You've now just got to keep buying other businesses. And then what happens is the management team have got metrics around doing transactions. So the price that they're willing to pay to get those transactions done goes up and up and up. And then the perspective of value disappears.
Yeah, there's also another, I guess, dynamic we've got at the moment is on volume of PE. So we have, as an accounting profession, undercharged for our services for a long time. We came to a point where we weren't making money. We had to work 7 days a week because the perception out there is that actually our work was simple, or there was less value to it, or you're just moving like figures from one box to another. And what PE has done is that they come in, they increase all their prices. They pay their staff more and they increase all their prices. Now, you've got two kind of ways this will work. All the clients leave to find a cheaper person. But if you've got enough PE money coming into that, then there's less choice of where they can go. So you're either going to get to the point where not enough PE comes in, everyone leaves to go to like privately owned accounting firms, and then the PE just kind of falls over and disappears and goes away. Or enough comes in that the clients kind of have to stay in that now hyperinflated, or just I guess inflated kind of fee area, and every other accounting firm can raise their fees to match. And as a profession, we actually bring more value and more time back to our staff that were probably overworked in the past. I don't know where we are in that kind of balance, but it's going to be interesting because, as you say, they go in cycles, and everything it's just looking at what targets we get to before we do the next churn. And depending on what firm it is, you're either going to get a good sellout or it's going to look blooming atrocious. And that's really down to how well you retain those clients in that period. Now, unlike insurance, where it's a lot easier to switch, there's more loyalty in the accountancy sector.
There is, yeah.
And so if you're looking at normally a 4 to 5 year churn, you can retain that client base for that period, especially depending on when you're buying firms in that. So it's a really interesting balance of when we're going to hit a tipping point. But someone said, I think it may have been someone from the US, said that we're in the most exciting place for a 30 to 40-year-old starting a new business, which makes sense to me doing it now, being in the 40s space. Starting a business because you can do something different. You don't have the legacy of those big firms, but you have the tech. You've got AI coming in where you can do something quite revolutionary and stand out. And so all that really good talent that stayed in accountancy firms for so long, why would they stay there? They're not going to get that partnership now. That's taken away. It's owned by someone else. So why not go off and set up your own firm?
Yeah. I was speaking with a senior leader at one of the big PE-backed firms last week. And I was asking him, when's it going to stop? Does it just continue on, and then the PE-backed firms buy each other, and we end up with bigger and bigger businesses. But he certainly feels that there's still a lot more value there for those PE firms, and actually, a bit like what you were saying, that a lot of accountancy firms are still undervaluing the service that they provide, and there's still a lot of opportunities for additional services that they can offer to clients that some of them are offering, but maybe not kind of as widespread as what they could be. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Eriona, in terms of within your firm. Have you branched out into kind of other services other than just the kind of core accountancy services?
Yeah, no, we have. I think since reducing our client base, we're really focusing more on working with our clients closely, way closer than before. I know people talk about advisory, but I think ours has gone a step further in that we call ourselves business partners with our clients. So we have niched down into the property development construction sector for the reason that we do property development ourselves. I've been doing it since I was 20. Everyone was like, you've lost your mind, you don't know what you're doing. But it's something we love. We can talk about it all day long. And we're looking, for example, at construction companies who are developing other people's properties all day long, but they're too scared to get on the property ladder because, well, how do you buy it? Mortgages? What's that? Will I have to pay it? I don't know. I'm too scared to do that. Where will I get the money to actually do the construction works? And then will I sell it? Do I not sell it? Do I rent it? What? It's all these questions that makes it way too scary to go down that route. Or those that are property developers that could expand on their portfolios but need a wider network, because it's all about the network. You need so many people to come together to make it super successful. So we've niched into that, as in we're taking our clients' hands and walking them through that whole process, because we're coming at it not as an accountant, but as a fellow property developer.
Yeah.
When I'm doing their accounts, why are you spending that much on steel? We've got somebody that can help you and get it half the price of that. So we're delivering a different kind of value that I think in the past we would have never been able to do. One, if we didn't have the tech available to be able to have that information to hand at any point. But it is also that our clients are expecting more from accountancy firms as fees are going to start to increase. They want more. But they also know we have the tech available to hand. So they expect that we should be able to give them the minimum level of service has changed from what they used to expect to what they expect now. Yeah. Right. And I think this with niching and things like that is pretty big in our sector to be able to, people are looking now for experts in their industries who get them and they can have those conversations where it's not a once a year, give me your tax figure. It's what can we do here? You know, it is definitely, I think, something that will probably change further in the future. There was quite a lot versus niching and not niching. A lot of people are like, no, I'm not sure. But you can start to see where the experts in each industry are becoming so successful. It's like they are known as the go-to.
Yeah, I would think that with the fact that, you know, there's technology that can mean that a lot of that compliance stuff is you know, no longer taken anywhere near. It's taken a fraction of the time. Allows you the opportunity to really start to focus on the things that you're passionate about, and like yourself thinking, well, I love property, I want to start doing that and spending more time becoming that expert. And then, of course, when you become an expert in it, you're providing more value, which means that from a fee perspective, clients are more than happy to pay the fee that goes along with it. And then you chuck in that, you know, you get AIs that can help you. You know, I was listening to a podcast during the weekend. It was talking about at the moment. So it's Mo Goddard from formerly at Google, and he was saying that he reckons that AI gives him about 50 extra IQ points at this point in time. So, like, I mean, I could really do with that. So, like, it would make a big difference. But in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 4 years' time, I mean, that it's just going to be massive in terms of the advantage it gives you, which means you've got that, you know, you can really hone in on that expertise and just become even better at what you're doing. So, yeah, really interesting that that's something that you're already, it sounds like you're ahead of the game on that.
Well, do you know what? I think everyone needs to be, because even in our firm, with payroll, 80% of our payroll is going to be done by AI, by a robot. Yeah. So all of those that are static, we set them up. We don't need to touch it. That's 80% of our payroll. It runs it, it submits it, it sends the clients the pay slips, it can make payments if needed. How is a traditional accounting firm going to be able to compete with a firm that works in this way? We're starting off with payroll, but we'll be able to do more in the future. So therefore, where is our value now? It's going to be in those conversations. And how we work with clients needs to be very different. It's calling them, finding out what's going on. I've had some clients actually say, stop calling me, you're annoying me now. But it's also when they come at the end of the year, those that didn't want the conversations, they find out their tax bill is so much higher. Well, I didn't know you were doing this. If you'd have told me that you were doing this, I would have advised you, cut this, then you'll pay much less. And that's where they're starting to see the value now. Okay, I need to be in contact with my accountant, not see them as an external person. But for any business decision, that's where we should be. Hence why we say we're a business partner, because anything that you decide will have an effect on your entire business, on the finances, on how much tax you're going to pay, all kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? And that's where the accountants now need to be focusing their time. It's not who can add up the figures fastest and prepare a set of accounts. It's translating what does this mean, and let's look to the future. What can we do with this?
Yeah.
And those that aren't leveraging the tech to be able to do that, it's going to be different.
So I think historically, SME owners looked at their accountant and their job was to make the numbers look as good as they could be.
Yeah.
Is the accountant's job now to help make them as good as they should be?
I think so.
Which is a complete paradigm shift.
It's a complete shift. It means that we're looking forward.
Yeah.
We've now got the figures to hand. What do we need to do to make them look like what you want?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it's not just about saving a couple of quid in a tax return.
No. So when we actually take on clients, we have this, our filter of who we take on or not is, are you here to save £300 of tax, or do you want to make £30,000 of profit?
Yeah.
Because profit is, the tax is a percentage.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the profitability, not how much tax we're saving. Once you get them to change that kind of mindset, then they get into that, okay, we need to speak to you, we need to work together, we need to see what we can do. And that relationship, we become like best friends, basically.
Do you think for the profession that means a switch in how advisors actually look at things as well, in terms of how they see themselves and the role that they fulfill for their clients?
Do you mean advisors in accounting firms?
Yeah.
Well, I think it comes back to what is advisory again, which is an annoying question that gets banded around all the time. I think accountants have always been advisors. I think the way we provide advice has to change, because a lot of the stuff that was our bread and butter, where it'd be simple tax advice, etc., stuff that people can find online.
Sure.
So we are, as Erion's saying, having to build a deeper relationship. Our skill set, rather than that traditional accountant that no one wants to talk to at parties, where we like to be in a locked, quiet, dark room, a bit like this, and we're just churning away. We love to solve puzzles. Actually, the skill sets are now about how we are good at storytelling, how we are inquisitive, how we take what I guess a business owner or a business is thinking and reshape that to make them, I guess, question if they're doing something in the right way. That's traditional. What was an external service as business advisory is becoming more and more the day-to-day of an accounting firm. And that becomes more and more prevalent, really, as compliance starts to get more and more eroded. And if you are not creating the capacity in your firm to invest in that, because that is a real shift in education and training and skill set for your team, because if you try and, I guess, just get rid of them and replace them, we have not got the quality out there of people to do that. You're going to have to train and educate people. If you're not creating the capacity, how are you going to find the time to do it? So the beauty, I guess, of Eriona's story is that she created that capacity to change by changing bits and processes to make yourself more efficient. Now you've got time. You don't need to necessarily offload people. You've got the time to now reshape and rethink and redo how you look at running your firm. And for so long, accounting firms have just been external facing. We just go in, do our stuff, go out. We've had the joke forever, which is just the running joke, which is just copy what we did last year. We can't do that anymore. That doesn't work. It's outdated. We need to be rethinking it.
So it's interesting, and it ties into a lot of stuff that I've been thinking about recently. My experience of being an insurance broker, starting when I was 24, dealing with really small SMEs and getting up the food chain, and then my experience of being a business owner tells me that people think that cost and money are the biggest constraint on SME owners. I don't think that's the case. I think it's time that's the biggest constraint in SMEs. And then what you've just said there, so tax compliance, that's gone, right? You're plugged into their Zero. You're plugged in if they're using Dexter, whatever. You can see their expenses. No more Tesco bags full of receipts 3 days before it's due, or that needs to go. It's now about having impactful messages that allow you to become top of mind to that customer, so that when you do phone, they take the call and they're not just going, they're chasing me for receipts or whatever.
Yeah. And I think to clarify, the paper bag receipts we'd hope is pretty much gone now. With MTD, we'd hope that's pretty much gone. There's still some out there.
Yeah.
But the tax compliance bit, it's on the cusp.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think if we say, like, you know, if we're trying to say, oh, it's gone, you're going to have so many firms going, no, it's not. It's what we do on a day-to-day basis. Well, and we're not saying it's going to erode straight away. What we're going to say is your competitors are going to be able to do it much more faster if you just stay in your lane. You can't stay in the lane anymore. That is, you know, the one of the things they teach you as an accountant is consistency. It's the one of those, they drill it home to you. It's like, be consistent. Well, actually, consistency is outdated now. You can't be consistent because everything's changing so quickly. As you're going back to what you said earlier, we're coming to a paradigm shift. Consistency does not work. So you can wait, you can be a laggard. There's no necessary problem with that. It will harm you to some extent. Look at the software vendors. So Sage, being the laggard in the space in cloud, has had to fight to kind of get their brand back on track, which they've done really well on. But that's what you'd have to do. You have to invest and fight if you don't get ahead of it. You don't need to be an innovator. You can wait to a certain point, but at least educate yourself. Talk to the right people. Go and find out what is possible, the art of the possible. Because if you don't do that, you have no idea when to push the button.
I agree. So, crystal ball time then. If you look at the top 50 firms in the accountancy market, do you think that top 50 will be the same top 50 in 20 years' time, or do you think it'll be brand new digital-first companies that have just came and ate their lunch?
I mean, top 50 is a pretty broad spectrum of accounting firms. So I'm going to try and break this down a little bit. So top 4, what they're doing at the moment is they are gutting their intake and they're replacing it with AI investment.
Yeah.
Now, that is a bit of a gamble because if you gut your intake, you've got less people to come through. So you've got less portfolio to pick the right people from and the best people from. So they're basically going, we don't think we're going to ever need this in the future because AI is going to replace not only the bottom layer, but more as we go up. Bit of a gamble, but maybe an educated gamble. Now, they are obviously investing in that, and a lot of the top 50 will be able to do that. I think the top 50 in itself won't be, I guess, they won't be dictated to by are they tech first or not tech first. I think they'll be dictated to a lot by what's going on with PE to some extent.
I think
Will they exist or not? Are they going to be like blended together? Are they going to fall over? In the past, it used to be audit was the biggest threat. Like if they get a really bad fine from an audit, they can fall over. Doesn't seem to happen anymore. No one seems to care about that anymore for some reason. But yes, I think it'll be disrupted, but I think it'll be mostly the below top 50 that's going to really feel the impact. So you're going to have those that are smaller that are either going to have to go, I do not have the energy to do this, I'm going to sell to PE. Or you're going to have those that are coming up and growing and doing something different and being quite dynamic with it, that will grow. In 20 years, will they be top 50? Some will. Yeah, some will definitely accelerate and get there. Others won't, maybe not because they can't, but just why would you want to?
I think some will actually think, do you know what, I want a different lifestyle. I don't want to.
Most people that are coming into accountancy firms now, they're not looking at going, I aspire to be the person that works 7 days a week. No kid that's going into the workforce wants that anymore. They're the ones that, when we were younger, it was the whole thing of you go to a club, you get drunk every weekend. Now there's like, no one blooming drinks anymore. They're all like incredibly healthy.
They all get side hustles and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And they're trying to be an influencer, or they're trying to find like a little way of making money, and they're creating a little business on the side. None of that existed when we were younger. So when they're coming into a business, they're not looking at going, I want to be the next big thing. It's like, how can I make a nice bit of money? Some want to make a lot of money, but they're going to do it a different way. They might brand it, market it. Some of the people that are leading on social media at the moment, they're not huge. They're just very highly profitable because of the way they've structured it. They have, cut down their client base, but they've made it really slick, really profitable, and made a load of money from it. And then they're doing other things. So I think it's B Motion. Now have a clothing brand alongside their accountancy firm. I mean, it's amazing, but you wouldn't have seen accountants do this in the past.
No.
Well, you've done it right.
I don't know if you've seen that. I was actually modelling on LinkedIn earlier this week.
Were you?
No, I wasn't. I put a picture of me on with this and said that I was modelling, but nobody believed me.
Got me.
But I think it's a different lifestyle shift. I see that like with my daughter, the way that she thinks, even my brother and sister, with the way that when they came into the workforce, their expectation of what it will be like versus I was just like, you guys have lost your mind. How you think you're going to be at the top within 2 years? We knew that we work hard. There's a certain process that you go through, and at some point you will reach a certain stage. They're like, I want it now, otherwise what's the point? I'll go do something else. So we're super impatient, and they are looking at what's my quality of life in this, not how I'm dictated based on how it used to be. It's changed completely. And as you said with me, I've done a certain thing now, not bored, but I like to be out there and exploring and doing other things. In the past, there's no way I would have done that. I would have been like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm an accountant. I'm going to work in this firm and that's it. Now I'm always looking at what's some property development. Yeah, I'll do some of that on the side and some of this on the side. I've got so many side hustles to keep that pace that we're now used to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go back to doing just one job. I'd be bored out of my mind. Right? But this is the generation now that are coming up and they're doing all of this at the same time. But again, it's all about quality of life that they're focusing on first. And how does that fit around it? In my experience anyway, that's what I've seen.
Agreed.
So taking things off on a tangent a wee bit, something you'd said just when you were doing your introduction that I'd kind of mentally put a pin in to come back to was when you were looking at this digital transformation and what you were going to do within the firm, and kind of going to the first of the kind of digital trade shows, and not knowing anybody, not knowing like what to expect or anything like that, and being quite apprehensive about it. What advice would you give to anybody else who's out there who's kind of thinking about trying to put themselves out there, but is a wee bit hesitant? Because I certainly, haven't met you recently, would have thought, God, Eriona's really confident. You're out there in LinkedIn, you've got lots of followers, you're doing lots of stuff like that. Would not have thought for a second that actually you would have had a period where like, oh, actually I was quite nervous. If it wasn't for the fact that like we've all been there ourselves, so I know that, and when you try and put yourself out, it is daunting. But and the reason I asked that is because specifically there was a lady that I was speaking to on LinkedIn today, and she'd mentioned about our podcast, and I'd said, do you fancy coming on? She's like, oh, no, absolutely not. I'm too shy for that. I was like, honestly, go for it. So I just, for anybody else that's listening, what advice would you give?
So let me give you a bit of background. When I first started in management of our firm, I guess I'd been there for a long time, and then I took over. I was really shy to get up in front of our team of 25. We were all in one room, so it's not like we were in separate rooms. Just to tell them, guys, don't buy lunch on Friday because it's on us. I had to prepare myself like 2 hours before. Like, I got this. It's only going to be a 30-second thing. And I got up, did it really quickly, sat down, and then I needed that time to just get over it. So I went from that to speaking on stages like over 1,000 people. It's experience, but I think the most important thing is just just say yes. The first speaking event that I had, it was, I think, with Accounting Web, and it was in person, in their studio, and it was live. And I was just like, I don't know what I am doing here. But I just said yes. I just thought I'll just go for it. Was I nervous? Absolutely. Does it ever go away? Each time it just gets easier. But if you don't say that first yes, you will never know, as with anything in life. I say this to my daughter as well, because she's now nearly 12. With anything, I'm like, how do you know if something's going to work out or not if you don't try?
Yeah, totally agree.
I echo that. I was, no one believes me nowadays, but when I was younger, I was chronically shy. So when I think I was 30-something, when I had to go to networking, never really done networking before, and it went round in a cycle where you had to go up and talk in front of people, and I was sweating, I stumbled over everything, and I, at the end, thought that was the worst experience of my life. So many people came up and just said, really well done, like, good job on that. And I think everything that I thought that I'd done horribly on, no one looks at that. Yeah. They're just so, like, not glad that they're not doing it, but so happy that you're up there and putting yourself out there and giving it a go. And they're only going to remember the interesting things you said. People don't have time to remember all the other things. People aren't vindictive or horrible. And the bit that I guess Eriona said that I completely emulate, completely agree with is it only gets easier. Anything only gets easier if you do it and you keep doing it. If you never start it, you're just always going to be fearful.
I used to say to my team, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the growth happens. I actually remember, and it was only as you were speaking there, Ryan, we were at an event, not together, but we were at the same event, Luke Farron's launch event for his firm earlier in the year. And I was actually nervous to come up and introduce myself to you because I was like, I've seen you in LinkedIn and stuff like that. And even though like I do my own stuff as well, but like you think, oh God, like they're good. But we're all just normal people.
And I was glad you came up because I was nervous no one was going to come up and say hello. So it was good we at least did that, right? We both settled each other's nerves. But that's the other thing, right? That you go and you're worried no one's going to care or no one's going to find it interesting. And you just want someone, if you can find, and it's what I always advise, if you're going and speak in a room or something, just look around and look for the one person that's making eye contact with you and try and smile at them. Because if they could smile back in any way, you have instantly got a bond and it feels like you're just speaking to them. The challenge that I found in doing some podcasting that I do is that when I'm doing it remotely, you can't get that same engagement. And so sometimes you just feel like you're talking to a screen, and that's a different challenge.
It is. I think if you're doing it virtually, you need quite a longer prep session with the person before you do it. And I'm not a fan of doing it digitally, I have to say. I think it's much better in an actual face-to-face environment, the podcast piece.
Do you get nervous, Mark? Because you're a pretty confident person.
He's
most
chill,
of the
isn't
times.
I am. I still despise speaking live on stage. And I mean despise it. I just can't stand it. But, I still get nervous for every customer meeting I've ever had.
That's good though.
And I must have had 30,000-40,000 customer meetings in my life, and I still get nervous. Not the way like when I was 24. I was terrified.
It's kind of nervous, but like I get excited because I love
meeting
the
people.
conversation. I love the chase. I mean, I've got to say, like I'm a business development guy through and through. For me, I just love all of that, but I also care about what I do, and I suppose you want people to you want to put your best foot forward with people.
Do you know, I think so many people create, I call it almost like a prison in their own mind. Of if I come out of these walls, then who knows what will happen, and then they live their life in this thing that doesn't actually exist. It only exists in their own mind. If they get rid of that, life is so much simpler. Someone will like what you say, someone won't. As long as you're not trying to offend anyone, is what it is.
The other thing I'll say is that don't look at like LinkedIn or social media and think, oh God, that person's doing so much better than me. Because we were discussing this off air. There are people that talk in a completely different way to who they are when they're on social media. They've created a persona because they know that works in generating interest for them. And you have to find your own thing. And that doesn't mean be someone different. I'm pretty much who I am because I find that works for me. Some people have to, and I don't agree with it, but have to be someone different.
I can't be doing with that. Like honestly, I just don't have the mental capacity to try and be somebody else there and somebody else there, because you're just going to get found out. That's my view on it, right? Like, I have fallen out with customers in the past because the bond just isn't there, and when you've got to spend a lot of time with somebody, there's no point in...
Well, and I wouldn't say it's always a negative thing, like you say on being found out. I've known people that they just love acting, right? They like creating something that's different and being something that's different, and it can be completely good, it can be completely positive, but they might be a grumpy soul underneath, but they go in and they step into that role and that's who they are in that thing, and then you go and meet them in person, you're like, whoa, that person's nothing like what I expected them to be. It doesn't mean bad, right? But just don't look at it and think, oh, I need to be that, because it probably isn't. That's probably not exactly how their life is.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn for me has become a bit of a human zoo, right?
It's been for a while.
I'm not on any other social media platforms, and I just think it's got a bit...
Do you know what I went to an event recently, though, it was something that really surprised me. Only 6% of people who are signed up to LinkedIn actually
use
it, actually write anything.
Yeah.
It will ghost.
Just
6%.
Out
Ghost read 'em.
of all those millions that are on there, only 6% actually write anything.
Wow.
So imagine if everyone did.
Oh, it'd be
Oh,
worse.
even if it got to 10%, right? It would be
It would mean
wild.
you would see less of my posts right enough. So
Yeah, that'd be good.
got to look at the positives.
So, final couple of things. What's the one piece of software, and I don't mean zero quite, but smaller pieces of software that make the most difference to what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, do you want to go first on this? What I think? Our pad. Yeah, I think on mine, what's the number one piece of software? I mean, if you've built up if you've done digital transformation effectively internally, and you are working really effectively with your team because you've done that, there shouldn't be any one single piece of software, because it should flow. Everything should flow. And so when I'm working, and we haven't perfected anything, we are interacting with different software in different ways, but all on a consistent basis. I think the one thing that I tend to use a lot more than anything else is an internal communication tool, or even just WhatsApp, because we're a small team and we're dynamic. We need to be flexible, and so there's lots of times that out of hours it's just a quick check-in. And I wouldn't say that is a great way of working or what I'd advise people to do. It's just that we're so early in the business that's what we've had to kind of pivot to. And realistically, that's not an end goal for us. But the one thing for us and the way we work that is pivotal is a project management system, because we need to have all visibility of where we are, profitability-wise, task-wise, resource-wise, and it becomes the key operational system.
Which one do you use?
Well, at the moment, we might be going through transition. We use an accounting one. So if any accounting firms are out there, it's a relatively modern one called FYI that's come over from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And it does task management, it does document management, and does all your bidding, etc. It works okay, but I have realised, coming now slightly out of the accounting sector into digital transformation projects, that it's not it's niched very well in that sector. It's not designed, I guess, for a team that works quite like me. So I already know that at some point I have to transition away. But in anything, you make a decision early on, and you have to find the right time to then adjust. And as we were saying earlier, make yourself aware, make yourself know where you need to be, and just so you can push the button at the right time. We're just not quite at that right time to push the button. We've already got a bit of a plan in the future where I may need to.
It's just goes to show that it's not like a one and done type thing with any of this.
No,
though.
no. And if you set up properly using a modern ERP style where you're plugging things together via secure APIs, the beauty of that is if something changes, either you fall out with one software provider, they up their prices.
Plug one out and plug one in.
Plug one out and plug one in. And it's not never as simple as that.
No.
But it enables you to do that without having to change everything, which is what usually keeps you in for a long period of time in something that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that practice management, which is, I think, the engine, right, of the business, and communication are, like, I was thinking the exact same thing. They're the two things that, for us as strategic partners, that's what we need to be able to know what's going on in our business at any point. One, to actually see how jobs are going, to be able to identify what needs our attention. And then two, being able to communicate with your team. So for us, that's OnCo for practice management, and then teams internally. So our team now are all over the world. And if we didn't have these two, which we wouldn't be able to function. Yeah,
and one bit of feedback I'd say for firms is if they are still working on Excel for task management, and they've got their documents in a Windows Explorer style setup, you are going to fall behind. Well, you're already behind, to be honest. And with AI coming in, it's just not going to work effectively. You need structure. That's what it's based on. AI works really effectively on structure. So get your systems in the right place, especially in this area. That's the number one focus. And instead of just, as we have done in the profession for quite a long time, focused on what the clients need to be on, because compliance has forced us to do that, you should be turning internally now and making changes now to your business, the way you operate. Because if you don't do it soon, you're going to definitely be too far behind to adapt.
Good advice.
One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we flagged today was the Digital Disruptor Awards. Just want to talk a wee bit about that. I know obviously it's yours, and Eriona, you're a judge on
I'm
it,
a judge,
believe.
Yeah.
But just for anybody that's listening that doesn't know about it.
Yes, no, thank you. So Digital Disruptor Awards is something we set up last summer, and it was actually on the back of getting frustrated with existing awards. So if you've ever been to an awards event, there's lots of times where you look at it and go, I can tell who's going to win this.
The one that paid for the biggest table,
Mark's anti-awards.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because it's become more and more like that. So we were like, I hate this, I want to change it. And we're in the tech space, and so many awards ceremonies now have reduced the tech elements. They don't want to kind of focus on that. We're like, well, we love this. We think we should recognise it. So let's do something different. So we set this up so that you can't nominate yourself. Someone has to nominate you. And they can explain why, but ultimately it comes down to the judging panel to look at it, understand where it is, and go, this is the person we think, or app we think, or business we think should win it. So we're trying to do it more on merit. Does not matter if they turn up. We love him to be there. It's nice to hand over an award to someone. But last year, I think 3 of the 7 awards were to people we could hand them to. The rest, we then hunted them down. We're going to find you and give you this award. We just wanted to make it fun. It's not black tie. You're not coming in a suit. You're going to sit around a table, talk to just the people on your table, and then go home. It is an inclusive event. There's networking. We do some live podcast stuff on it. And we're going to try and mix it up with some entertainment this year as well. So you will be expected to communicate with your peers. You go there to have a bit of fun, have a drink, and just watch something that we live stream as well, right? Because we don't want it that you can only experience if you're there. We want as many people as possible to see what's going on. If you can't make it to the day and it's an exclusive event, there's only a certain amount of tickets, then you can live stream it. With people that have got families, people that are the other end of the country, and we've had people stream it from different parts of the planet as well. It's all about inclusivity. It's all about being different and being fair, and that's why we set it up. And we're lucky enough to get sponsors that enable us to do that. So at the moment, and I don't know by the time this goes out, but at the moment, the sponsors we've got are iPlicit, Free Agent, and Advanced Track, and they've been so generous to support us for the pretty much 2 awards. It enables us to put on a great event.
When is the event again?
It is the 22nd of September, the night before Accountex North. So if you're going to Accountex North, there's absolutely no excuse. You should be attending. And do check out Digital Disruptors page and make sure you're on the wait list so that when tickets go live, you can get them.
Oh, so the events in the Frozen North as well then, right?
Yes, I know. I'm going to have to wear layers.
And Eriona, you're a judge. Were you a judge last year as well?
Yes, it was such a cool kind of process. First time I've been a judge at anything, but really enjoyed it. And really
I thought you were
looking
going to say
forward
it's the first time I've been to the Frozen North.
No, I've been a few times.
So I said Mark's anti-awards. We actually met because I judged his previous business at an awards and got to give him an award. So that's why he doesn't like awards, because he met me.
I can't escape now.
Any kind of, I suppose, tips for anybody that well, I suppose because they don't put themselves forward for it, do they? But what are you looking for as a judge then?
I'd probably say get straight to the point, make it super clear why that person is nominated. We don't need a full massive story, because obviously there's only a certain amount of time that we have allocated to be able to do it. So get your point across with exactly why you think that person should or deserves an award. And if there is anything kind of supporting with this, do we have supporting evidence or no?
Yeah, so you can if you want, you can create a video and put it up there. There's nothing that will stop you from doing that. But as you say, make it concise. Yep. And most important than anything, nominate.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of people actually. I'm thinking I'm going to
better do it quick.
A couple of nominations. And when does it close?
Well, it closes on Monday, so when the
when
time this goes out, it may not be relevant.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, guys. It's been a real pleasure, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.